What up, what up, what up? Y'all hope everybody's having a great start to their week, as am I. Uh, I had a really dope start to my day. Just got up early, got to it, felt accomplished, feel accomplished. Apologies for the delay in getting here. Um, Had to take care of some family stuff, so we are here. And if this is your first time here, welcome to a dressing room where we are going to change the way that you think about your personal style and your personal expression. This is more than just a conversation about the right tie, right shirt, right hat to wear. This is really about you elevating your personal expression so that you can tell your story and style. And if you've been rocking me for a little while, you know that I believe that every man has a story. That story soon becomes history or his story, and it all begins with our statement and style. So let's help you make one. So I got a question for you. How does your investment in your image, your investment in your style benefit you outside of just quote unquote looking good? How can you leverage that for something that you desire, whether that's a relationship or a job opportunity or a financial experience, right? Financial exchange. How can you leverage that utilizing style? Because I think a lot of guys have this misconception that all they have to do is dress well and that's all clothing is going to do for them, right? So they're going to look good and everybody will just give them compliments and that will be the end all, the end all be all. But in truth, uh, what ends up happening is you have these opportunities to leverage your style to do a lot of different types of things. And this is because style is ultimately your currency, right? And a lot of guys don't really have that understanding that style is their currency. So we're going to talk about three ways that style is your currency. And then we're going to talk about how that currency should be spent, invested, so that it yields a return. So, got a quick story. I like to tell stories. And so, when I first got to Atlanta, I was on my style journey, really just kind of getting into the mix. I was about 20. And so I was trying to figure out, like, man, how am I going to dress well, especially like with clothing costing as much as it did. My mentor had just taken me out to get my first ensemble, and I ain't had that type of money. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't make this investment. But I remember thinking, like, I don't have any money, so I need to get a job. And I happened to be hanging out with a friend. We were doing something. I don't even remember what we were doing, but he was talking to somebody. There were these guys that were working on this production studio, and I came in just to help him out, talk to him about something. And one of the guys just pulled me to the side. He was like, "Hey man, I know this is gonna be kind of weird, but like, are you by chance looking for a job?" I was. Right now I'm turning down a blessing, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm definitely open to work." And he was like, "You just look like a guy that seems to work hard." He did not know me. I am a hard worker for the things that I'm interested in. Not so much if I have no interest in it. And I was curious about the production space. I was thinking that I was gonna go work on like a movie lot. I was not. I was working to create like these casino nights, which was actually a pretty cool job. But in the end, I was like, nah, this isn't what I want. So I'm at the job for probably about 4 months, maybe 5 months. And then I can't remember if I got fired or I got let go, but we mutually understood that we did not need to continue working together. From there, I remember going into a department store. At this time, it was, I believe, Parisians. Parisians has been closed now. I think it's a belt. But I walked in because I needed another job, and I'm filling out applications. I'm filling out my application, the questionnaire at the time. You just have to fill it out on paper with your application. And one of the hiring managers comes out and she's like, "I'm sorry. to the person right beside me filling out their form, we don't have any more spaces available. So thank you for filling out the application, but you're probably not going to be hired. So I'm at that point like, oh, well, I'm not about to waste my time filling out this application when I can go someplace else. So let me just finish my application as well. And I remember she was like, I'm so sorry that we aren't going to be able to do it, but please keep us in mind and we will follow up with you if anything opens up. And so I'm like, all right, well, let me wait for a sec. I guess I'm think I'm reading the room right. So I slow down writing my application, and as soon as that person leaves, she was like, yes, sir, are you available for an interview right now? And I was, again, I'm young and naive. I don't always catch my blessings, but I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought that the position was filled. And she was like, you just might have filled it. Now, mind you, I hadn't shown her my application. I hadn't shown her any of my qualifications. But when we got into the interview, she said the position that we're currently hiring for is a customer service position, and we're really going to take all the customer complaints, wrap gifts, do all those different types of things. And I remember saying, like, style got me currency, got me tender, right? Got me money because it was able to open up the door for me to have this conversation for employment. And so I want people to remember that just because you think everybody's dressing casually or everybody is doing the most on the other side of the style game and overly dressing in these elaborate, ostentatious pieces of clothing, that you showing up as a qualified, sophisticated, mature individual, that those things can actually lead to better opportunities. I had a client who I was working with, and simply by changing his job, we were able to see, or changing his style, we were able to see a 20% increase in his job, right, in his paycheck, because he was able to get a promotion and a bonus, not just because of his qualifications, but also because he had the ability to present himself well. They never said this, but I would theorize that part of that was because they knew that he would be a great representation for the company when he was presenting or entertaining clients or what have you. So it's important for us to understand that currency is utilizing clothing because it can help get you some bread. But before we move to the next two, I want you to take to a second to try on how we think about currency. So where do we store our money? We store our money in a bank, right? But banks are also associated and were associated with the banks of water before they were a financial term, right? When we talk about cash, we talk about cash flow, right? We talk about different types of currencies, right? So there is a flow, a movement that happens during a currency exchange. And if you're trying to fight against the current, then what ends up happening is you either weaken yourself, things are going to begin to corrode, or you're going to be washed away depending on the power of that current and where it's taking you. And so, like a lot of times when I'm talking to people about the understanding of style or clothing being currency, there is a misunderstanding that I can't go with the flow, right? They think that I'm telling them completely abandon all style trends, completely abandon the aspects of fashion. But what I'm really trying to convey to them is you have to be true to your character, understanding what that context is. Why I always say context matters in clothing. You have to pay attention to the context of the spaces that you're going to be in, right? So I had a friend of mine, he was stepping out and he was going to this day party. This day party was on a rooftop. It's a vibe, right? It's a summertime experience. And so he's going out and he's like, "Oh man, I'm about to kill him. I'm about to kill him tonight." And I was like, "Oh, okay, right." So fam shows up in a dope suit and a nice crew neck, very lightweight wool sweater. It's super cool, breeze, looks dope, great pair of loafers. And when he gets off the elevator, he finds that everybody else is in basketball shorts, tank tops, snapbacks, or fitties. I don't remember at the time. They're sneakers. And so when he gets out, he sticks out like a sore thumb. Now for him, initially he's like, bet this is the win, right? His because his people, mentors, I'm sure parents probably said this as well, and you probably heard it as well. Dress up like you got somewhere else better to be, right? And so he's like, I'm gonna act like I got someplace else to go. But in truth, the party is popping. Like everybody's in there. It's beautiful young ladies in there. They got their midriffs on. They got bikini tops on, sarongs on. There's no pool up there, but it's rooftop party, right? So everybody's ultra casual, and he looks very formal or casually elegant, but there's a disconnect, right? And he starts to understand there's a disconnect when he starts trying to talk and socialize with the other people around him. Now he's a charming dude. He's a good-looking guy. People are entertaining the conversation, but they look really uncomfortable for that conversation. And it's because he had created a dam through his dress. There was no flow of energy that could happen because honestly, in the back of his mind, he was insecure, but he was trying to project that he was like elevated or better, right? And so I remember he asked me like, what was I supposed to wear at that experience? Like I don't throw on like street clothes. That's not my jam. And I was like, well, honestly, bro, you could have threw on a nice dressier t-shirt, a pair of linen or cotton trousers, and then a pair of loafers or slippers or whatever your or even deck shoes, depending on what your vibe is. Or you could have threw on a linen shirt. It could be long or short sleeve. It's long sleeve. You just roll up the sleeve, chill like that. A great pair of shorts if you want to, right? Some dressier chino shorts, chino style shorts, and then the same type of bottom. Or you could have just had on some tennis shoes, right? There's a difference between sneakers and tennis shoes, and you could have shown up there. And the ability to leverage that situation with your look would have been much more dynamic. And the other thing that made him look kind of corny, you live and you learn. Everybody does some corny stuff as well, so there was no slights on him. Was he ended up staying till like that evening, like till the party was over. So you're acting like you're all dressed up or somewhere else better to be, but you stay there. And I mean, he was sweaty, like because he was having a good time. He had fun. People started to loosen up towards the end, but by then people were inebriated. The connections that would allow him to be remembered for something other than his style was lost. Right. So he saw a few people the next time. It was like, oh yeah, you was buddy in the suit at the day party, weren't you? And it wasn't like he was the dude at the suit because he looked good, but that's what they remembered him for. And again, the currency is not just about the look. It's not just about people saying like, oh, you looked good. It's about you having the ability to say like, oh, that him moving how he moves makes sense, right? It makes it aligns with who he is, right? So that makes sense for how he would move in those different types of situations. And this is why I tell a lot of guys, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful. You have to have it full in your mind for how you're going to interact and engage in different social scenes and situations. So if you are the dude who likes to dress up, who likes to dress well, suit and tie, classic style, then you should have the ability to leverage the current, right? The currency, the way that things are flowing for professional, formal, social, and leisure types of situations. You should be able to have a wardrobe that is going to coexist in different types of scenes and scenarios that you need it to be. Because you want to be able to go with that flow and to allow a young lady to be intrigued by your presence and all of those gifts that she potentially can unwrap if she keeps on interacting with you, or that network that is impressed without being pressed for the exchange that there's going to be, right? I'm never worried about impressing somebody. I just want to make sure that I leave a favorable impression, the imprint on somebody's experience with me. So if I'm networking, I want them to be like, man, he was a well-spoken, intelligent, insightful dude. When he was talking to me about style or about clothes, that wasn't anything that I would have thought to put together or to even approach when it comes to my personal style. So you have to remember that there is a flow, right, to how you get dressed. This is why, if you've been rocking me for a little while, you know that I look at men's style, men's personal expression as a king, a warrior, a lover, and a magician. This is where you get to be that lover, where you create the feeling, right? The synergy, the seductive elements. There's a pace, a cadence, and a rhythm that people can get caught up in. So much so that all they remember is y'all fam was smooth than a mother, right? He was cool as a fan. I really enjoyed kicking it with her, right? I really enjoyed kicking it with her, right? Or if she says, I really enjoy kicking it with him, right? You have those connections. So we have to remember that there is a flow, and that flow can still lead to revenue. That can lead to currency tender that you can utilize for different scenes and scenarios. And the next thing that you have to think about is what you currently see. Now, a lot of people miss this one aspect, especially when it comes to clothing, right? So when we're talking about trends, people think that your currency is just about, what you can pay right now. But a lot of people don't have the foresight to think about how they can leverage what they currently see in foreshadowing or in the macro, looking at the bigger picture of where certain situations are. And there's two ways that you can do this. The first way that you can do this is by following the trend to figure out what is going to find itself in sync with your character. So a lot of times right now, even this is the best way to describe it. We're moving to fuller pants. We're seeing guys go to a fuller leg in jeans, in dress pants, chinos, right? And there's a lot of guys who are going to benefit from that because there's a lot of dudes with big seats and thighs, pause, right? But some dudes that look like they were being squeezed into sausages and that it was comfortable or that it was good looking because they had stretchy pants on, right? They had fallen into this Lululemon bonobos untucked type of tech fabric that stretches everywhere. But they didn't realize how crazy they were looking. Now, are we going to go back to three pleated pants that are, a 25-inch uh, leg opening? No, right? But we are going to see a fuller line on the leg that's going to hang better. Now, an interesting thing is going to happen. You're going to see the guys who have no concept of the understanding of self, who they are and what they want to represent, move to this fuller paint as well. And so now these slimmer, trimmer, shorter, more petite guys, no diss to guys if you're a slim, trim dude, and we call you petite, that's not an insult, I'm just saying what it is. You're going to see them coming in a space where they want a fuller leg, but it looks like they got their big brother's pants on because they have no understanding of themselves and they can't currently see where they are and where they need to be. So for those guys, this is a great time to start paying attention to these fashion brands that are going to drop their trends of a fuller leg. And if you know that that works for your body type and your physique, that's when you can clean up and start picking up these different items that are going to work for you without having to customize them and spend that excess money or investment on those set items, right? This is where you can start really having an understanding of the comfort that can come when you have a fuller trouser pant. And you can say, oh, yeah, this really works for me. And I guarantee you're going to start seeing more compliments because what you currently see is a elevated version of yourself. So you have to pay attention to that current what you currently see, so that you can leverage that for the trends. But the other side of that is looking and pulling back the macro. right? And looking at the bigger picture, whether that's building your wardrobe when it comes to your style or looking at how all of these things affect your life, right? So I had a homie, we would step out and we would go out to the club, turn up, right? We dressed nice. And so we thought we was doing something because people kind of knew who we were. We stepped into the spot because we were the well-dressed dudes. And I remember at one point when we were young, he was just like, "Yo, bro, I'm not doing this anymore." And I was like, "What's up, bro? Like, we be pulling chicks. Not really, but we, moms, we pulling chicks. Like, people are interested. People know who we are. Like, we out here doing it." And he was like, "Nah, bro. I know what you currently see is this, but like my perspective and the way that I'm currently seeing things is very different on the bigger scale." And this was somebody like that was kind of adjacent to the people that I hung out with. And he was like, "I want you to think about this. On average, this is when, Atlanta was still relatively decently priced. If I was going out to a club, we would ride out. There was three of us in the car, and it would be $20 for us to get in if we got there past 12. We was always trying to get there early, and then uh we split the parking, and we would split like I was talking about this yesterday. We would split a pint of E&J. For y'all who don't know about E&J, that Irking jerk is some work. It'll put you on your behind, right? And we never drank for taste. We were drinking for a movement, right, to get us there. And so let's say we did that. I think we used to party about 5 days out of the week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So even at $10 to $15, right, which we were not spending, we were spending more like 40 or $50. We were at that point dropping $200 a week. That's almost $800 a month. That's $800 a month that we didn't have, right? Um, Zeb was like, "I didn't know, even know you had to pay to get into a club." That's the type of baller I have in my conversational group right here. They don't have to pay to get into the club. We definitely did. But even if you didn't pay, you still were buying drinks. Even if it was for yourself, drinks were $7, $8. You got three drinks plus the start off that you had, right? The chaser that you started out with, and now you're at 30, $40. So even on the low end, 30 times the five was $150, right? That's $600 a month. And so when my homie started doing the math, he was like, "Bro, on some G, I could get a car, have car payments. This could go towards a vacation. This could go towards all those other things." So what I currently couldn't see was the bigger picture, the broader picture of how I really wanted to move. And if I was being honest with myself, I really wasn't having a whole lot of fun at clubs. Not because it wasn't a cool spot, but it wasn't me. It wasn't who I was when I looked at my character. I enjoyed the romantic things, great poetry spots, art galleries, all that cool artsy type shit, right? And so for me, having the ability to currently see where I was would have been a game changer. The amount of money that I would save, the amount of headaches that I would have saved, literally and figuratively, the amount of chicks that I was settling for because it was late night. I wanted to get a return on that investment, right? So I would deal with a chick that I really wasn't attracted to, maybe sexually stimulated by, only because she was giving me some rhythm, right? Was the only reason that I would interact with her, and then wake up the next morning and do the shaking my head like, and why is she still in bed, right? Like, why isn't she out of here, right? So there was the short sightedness of what I was currently seeing instead of looking at the bigger, broader, more important picture, right? So if we start thinking, even when you step into your closet, is this what I currently see? Like, is this an impulse and just the benefit of the current situation right now? I can't tell you how many clients that will come to me and say, "Hey, I need this for Saturday. I need this piece for Saturday." And I'm like, "Okay, dope." Now, when I'm actually getting to consult, "Okay, dope. Where else are you gonna wear this?" "Oh man, I don't know. I just need it for this upcoming Saturday." And I'm like, "Well, let's take a beat and let's figure out what to get so that you actually get the most benefit from this piece. And some guys heed my advice, and other guys are like, nah, man, let me just get this. And then it sits in their closet. And they may have spent 150, 300, 500, some people 15, 1,000, 1,500, $2,000 on a piece that's now of no benefit to them. They can't leverage it for anything else because it doesn't go with anything else in their closet, and they're not utilizing it to benefit their presence, right? As Cola said, the cost per wear, yeah, right. So I have other guys who actually use proper preparation to present themselves, and they may spend $10,000 on a item, on a great jacket or a beautiful suit, right? But then they wear it 100 times that year, 200 times that year, and their cost per wear goes down significantly. And that presentation opens the door with all of the gifts that they have internally being expressed outwardly to get them more currency, more money, right? And so you find yourself being able to leverage the currency of where you currently are, right? And saying this is going to be the best representation of who I am, where I am, to express and to present what I am, and I'll be able to barter that for something else. I can't tell you how many times I've had homies and myself as well have the ability to trade a service like just styling them, or a trade of a piece that I can source for them to get money, to get literal bread, and then also to have favors, or to have uh, the opportunity to gain access to situations. When I was working for a time, for a very short time, I was working at Liz. If you guys remember Liz, go get your ball caps and stuff. And this dude came in. I was wearing a t-shirt, some khakis, and some shoes. But I guess the way that I had it styled, the guy was like, "Oh, bro, you just seem like you really know what you're talking about. I need to get a look together for tonight, and I would really appreciate it if after you got off, you just took me around on your lunch break. You could take me around and get me squared away." I was like, "Yeah, bet." So I've never done this before. I think I'm 22, 23, and so I'm like, "Yeah, let me get a styling client. Maybe he'll work with me." And in my mind, we're gonna do all this big stuff, and I'm gonna be working with him and going to all these big events. And so I put him in something, and he's like, "Man, how much are you?" And I was like, "Nah, bro, it's all love. Like, I appreciate you for trusting me to put you in something." And he was like, "All right, bro, I appreciate that. You my stylist now." Mind you, again, one off, right? One off situation that leads to an opportunity, to something that I can use for currency. And so he's like, "Yo, I want you to come out to the party that I'm having tonight. If you guys have ever been to Atlanta, you probably have heard of the club Compound. It used to be big, early 2000s." And so he's having this party that is like an exclusive only party. So I'm thinking like exclusive, yeah, right, exclusive. There's going to be 5,000 people there that are exclusive. But it was like 1,000 people there, movers and shakers. Some celebrities were in there, and so that gave me the opportunity to continue to network, and then that created a flow of energy that has kept us in contact and still friends, and him as a client to this day, right? So there was the currency of me being able to leverage my look to garner capital and money, which then led to a flow of a conversation and camaraderie that made him feel comfortable and connected with me, and allowed him to then be a client, which ultimately then led me to a bigger, broader opportunity for me to currently see something that was available to me that I may have overlooked if I wasn't in that current visualization and the awareness, right? So in those spaces, when we start to think about how clothing can inform the world about ourselves and how we think about ourselves, right? We know that dress is the outward expression of a man's state of mind. right? So if that's the case, then we have to be that much more intentional with the investment in our image. Because if it's currency, you want to make sure that it is backed by something strong. A lot of guys will say, I'm just going to throw on some clothes because it looks good, but it's not a true representation of who they are or what they want to represent. And that becomes problematic because when people are looking for you to stand on it, the foundation is shaky, right? It's like if you are working with a currency that is very volatile, right? If you're trading currencies or if you're in that space, Forex, I think it's called, or what have you can be in a volatile space where you can peak, make a lot of money, but if it's volatile, it'll crash. It can crash just as quickly as it peaked, right? Same thing happens when it comes to fashion. You can be in a situation where you are the talk of the town because you went and got the Amiri or you got the Kith or you got whatever other fashionable brand that is out and you put it on your shirt and everybody's like, oh man, he got that new, that's fly, that's dope, right? But then you can't afford to maintain that brand, to maintain that trend. And so then when you're wearing it for the second time or you spilled something on it that first night, you didn't know how to get the stain out because you really didn't know how to take care of your clothes. Now you're finding yourself at a loss because you're having to adjust, right? Or for some, this doesn't happen for a lot of guys, but I've seen some guys like, man, I paid $300 for this t-shirt. I'm wearing it again. Bro, I got a stain on me. When I took it to the dry cleaners, they did not get that stain out, bro, right? Like I can still clearly see that stain, man. I spent too much money on put it under the jacket so nobody can see it, right? But the whole time they trying to make sure nobody can see the stain that they have, so they look uncomfortable. They're moving inconsistently with their character, and so this is why we have to make sure that the currencies that we are utilizing when it comes to our personal style is stayed in something that is strong and foundational. Well, how do you do that? Well, you create a foundational wardrobe. You create a foundational representation of who you are in those four other categories. So you create the foundational representation when you know that you're going to have to be formal, whatever formal looks like for you. You start to create that foundational wardrobe and what professionalism is going to look like for you. You pay attention to and pay intention to that foundational look, that foundational currency that you can leverage in those social spaces. And then you pay attention to that leverage and that foundation when it comes to those romantic or leisurely spaces. And fellas, just a quick tidbit for some of you guys who may not know this. It is perfectly fine for you to wear the same thing on a first date 4 or 5 times in a row. If you feel confident in it, if you know you look good, you know it's well put together, why not have a go-to first date outfit? That girl ain't gonna know. You ain't posting it on social media. You're not posting a date on social media. So she doesn't know what you're wearing. And if you look good, take that first picture, post it, get the look, wait for a little second, maybe 2 or 3 dates, and throw that on there again, different pose. You know what I'm saying? The algorithm didn't show it to everybody anyway. So you have that opportunity in those spaces. And so it's important for you to know what it is that you are currently seeing for yourself, where you are now, right? Take care of it, build it, appreciate it, and watch it grow. Watch currency grow. When you appreciate currency and where you currently are, it will automatically grow. Even if it's at 1%, even if you're only getting 1% better every day, you're going to start finding that there are benefits that you're going to find just from the practice because that currency is moving. It's always moving forward. It's always carrying you someplace different, much like style will always do for you. So I want you to try this on, see how it fits you, and think about how you can leverage your look to garner you access for trade and currency to create this flow, this rhythm, and this pace that people can enjoy and get swept up in, and also to think about where you currently see yourself so that you can start the current of seeing who you are and then where you're going to be and continue to expand on that, utilizing the trends that help tell your story because it's a story worth telling. So I want you to try this on, see how it fits you. If it fits you well, then try this on this week. Try investing in yourself so that you can use that currency to your benefit. Outside of that, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I ain't seen any questions. I saw some some responses. Appreciate you from Michelle. Appreciate you. No questions. No questions. All right. So I'm gonna leave you with that. And as always, be great this week, today, and this week. But then again, you already are. So now all you have to do is show up and show out in style, remembering that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you, yes, you should always dress to address your life and your style. And if it fits you well, make sure you step back into the dressing room next week. All right. See you next week. Peace.